Today we're going to demonstrate how to plant up a hay rack with frost hardy plants for overwinter and springtime. Now at Vertigrow we do sell these hay racks that have a coir lining in them, and if you don't have the time or the confidence to use moss, leave this in, but do make holes in various places so that you're not just planting everything on the top. So if you put a hole and then just thread your plant through like so, and then alternate your holes so all your plants are on top of each other and just do that, you know, as you go along, and then another layer on the top. But today we're going to do it with moss. So I'll take these out, get rid of the lining. Now the first thing you need is some plastic. So you put that at the back of the hay rack, hold it in the hay rack, fold your sides in like this. And what that does is it protects your wall from the moisture, and also it gives you a reservoir for the water. And then we're going to start by putting a layer of moss in. Now that overlaps your plastic. And once you've got a decent layer of moss in, you want to put a little bit of compost in. And in that compost we put some feed in, which is Osmocord, and also we use a swell gel, which is water retention. It swells up and holds the water better. So just put a little bit of that in, mix it in, and then we'll start layering the plants up. So in the bottom we start with, we'll have some ivy. Put a Veronica in the middle. And basically on the bottom you're just really putting foliage in. If you want a bit more colour, then you could put some pansies in. We'll just put a couple of in the bottom. You don't really need them because it will fill up. And then what you do is you add your next layer of moss. Now this layer of moss is holding your plants in place, so you want to tuck it behind your plants. So there's your root ball of your plant, and you want to put the moss in front of it so that plant isn't going to fall out. We do this all the way along. Without leaving any gaps, because if you leave a gap, when you water it, all your compost will fall out, and then eventually your plant will fall out. So you need it to be as tight as you can, really. So that's your next layer. A little bit more compost. The reason you put more compost in now is that holds your plants, your plants will sit on top of that, make it easier for you to plant. bit more Osmocote, bit more swell gel. Mix that in. And in the next layer we're going to put some dianthus. I can get various colours in this. This is a red one. And just put that, not overlapping your last foliage, so you don't want to put it in the same one as that one, so it goes the outside of it. We'll put one at the other side. And then in the middle, I'm going to put a heuchera, Pallas purple. And although that's going over that foliage, it's not too much of a problem because a heuchera will go spread out rather than trail. So you can afford to put this one over a trailing plant, because that's what you need in the bottom really, is all your trailers. These are trailers, and we'll put a couple more. Okay, we'll put these lamium in, which have got a nice purple flower, and they'll trail lovely. On that side, one at that side. Now in this layer you do want to put plenty of flowers in. Plenty of colour, either violas or pansies, both of which you can get in lots of different colours. The only difference between them is the pansy's got a bigger head and less flowers. So you get, with the violas, lots of flowers and a smaller head. You really want to be making your hair rack before it starts to get cold, because you want all these plants to start knitting together. And if if you start planting them when it's cold, they've got no time to grow, so they'll just sit and do nothing. Whereas if they've established themselves, your hair rack will very quickly be really, really full and really, really beautiful. Okay. So now we move on to the top with one more layer of moss. And your moss, you want to spread it out. It's like clumped up like that. Well, that's no good. You don't want to put it in like that. So you kind of open it out, spread it, and then when you're doing your top layer, you want it well above the metal, because when you're putting your plants on top, if you put it right down there, for one thing all your water will come out, and for another your plants will snap off. So you want it well above the metal top, and again hugging your plants so they don't fall out. Okay, we'll just continue along with our moss, hugging those plants. And that's that. So top it up with more compost. And more Osmocote and swell gel. Okay, in your top layer, you want really uprights at the back, so you put your uprights. Now that one that I've put in is a skimmier. It gives you, lots of colour in winter when there's not a lot of colour about. And then, I mean, you can put a variety of plants in the top really. We're going to put some hellebores at either side of the skimmier. Just put them well in. Now you can use, I mean, we've used skimmiers and hellebores, but I mean there's all kinds of plants. There's some lovely euonymus you can use, that's very colourful. Okay, and then we're just going to put a few trailers in the top. This is Cerastrum, which is like a snow in summer, little tiny white flower. Put them in the gaps again. One in there. One there. And probably just something in the middle there. We'll have some Lysimachia, and that has a nice little yellow flower. We'll put that in the middle. And you don't want to overcrowd it, so that will do really. You just need to put a few little flowers in. I mean, you could use something like Bellis, which has got a nice pretty sort of daisy flower, but we're going to stick with the violas just because I like them. So we'll just fill a few gaps with these. Top. And one more the other side, and that will do for the flowers. Now what we do with our winter hay racks and baskets is we fill them with bulbs, so you have something lovely in the spring as well, something new in the spring. So we put tete in, which get to about 6 inches, something like that. Some Red Riding Hood tulips, similar, 8 inches, and then some crocus. But I mean, you can put whatever you want in, but you don't want them to be too tall. So what I tend to do is put your bigger ones really at the back, which is your tulips. So just spread them around, but make sure you put them in the gaps, because if you put them underneath the plant, they're going to push the plant up when they're growing. So put them in the gap, push them down. Generally they need at least twice their own depth, so push them well down. So that's your tulip, and put a few tete in. Maybe some there. And then right at the front put some crocuses in, and I just spread these round in the gaps. Because these are your shortest bulbs, so they need to be at the front really. Right. And then just finish off with a little bit of compost, not too much. I mean, this will sink down, but you don't want to put lots in, because when it's watered it'll all wash out, so you need some sort of depth for it to sink into. And that's your winter hay rack.